Justin with the scoop on SPX on April 22nd, 2024. So I'm zoomed out quite a bit. I'm on the 3 minute though, because we're going to get into it. The big red down channel is the selling off that we've been doing. It's kind of easier to see over here. We've been selling off. We broke down from this channel, broke down from this channel, then this channel. They've been selling off, and I have the channel set up so that they're only showing up on smaller minute time frames, maybe hourly also. That's too far in. Okay. So we've been selling off, and then we kind of poked down a little bit on the lower edge of this here, and then the upper edge of this here. And then we just kind of chopped around the upper channel until today. So today we actually gapped up from this channel, out of the channel entirely, not even touching the top portion of it here, got out of that. And so I tried to show that with the yellow channel. And now we're going to zoom way into yellow. Okay, so the yellow is a better boundary for this kind of hesitation around the upper edge of this red channel. Okay, so all I'm trying to show is that today's gap actually got us out of both of these. And so it shows some more strength, but then you get a little bit closer here. And I say strength, kind of like, quote unquote strength, but um, we immediately had some selling. So, any bulls we're buying here, they're up. Maybe they're the ones taking profits here. Okay. And so ignore the purple channel right now because this comes into play later. I didn't actually draw that in until this selling off. It's like, oh, that keeps going down. I wonder if there's some shape that's fitting that. Anyway, so I had the orange one in here. Came down, came up, came right back up into this. We got a lot of wicks here. It's like, okay, if there's going to be any strength, let's get above the open. Let's get above that price and let's keep going. And it looked like it was going to consolidate here, and then it should have broken up, and it did not. So that's when it started forming this down channel. That's the orange channel. Okay, so it came down to here, and then didn't even make it back up at this point and just continue to sell back down. You can kind of say this is a little bit of a wedge if you draw it a little bit sharp like that. Yeah, it could work. Didn't really see that during the day. When we got the bounce here, we got right back into it. It's like, okay, we're going to sell down. And immediately we got two bear candles. So this is making a new higher low right here from this low right here. It's like, oh, that's interesting. It also kind of looks like a wonky inverted head and shoulders. It's like, all right, well, let's see what's going on with that. And then we continued to put in some bull candles, got some upper wicks here, not sure why, but a really nice consolidation here, and then broke out. And actually, this breakout is really cool because we actually got closes above the open price and above these wicks. It's like, oh, this is great. We're going bullish. We've trapped any of the bears today. Well, of course, it needs a pullback. All right. So I really wanted to pull back down into this top edge. I had an alert on this channel, hoping to get that, looking at options. Okay, if we're gonna hit somewhere down in here, where could we be looking to get to by the end of the day? Or by middle of the day, well, 1 o'clock, like where, let's pull back further, and then by 1, 2 o'clock, let's get going. Well, we didn't pull back that far. We actually started a new channel. So I connected these up, and I've got the high here, and we were just kind of following this along. And then I got into a smaller time frame, and I saw, hey, there's another little thing coming in here. I wonder what's going on. And so one really cool thing happened. This, I'm going to have a really hard time drawing. I'm just going to use the cursor. Here's the open price. Okay. See what we did over here? We broke out on this candle, broke out again. This time we pulled back through the open. This time we pulled back and held the open, which means we're now making a bull candle. All of this, except for a couple candles in here and a couple upper wicks here that got sold off. We had been making a bear candle on the daily again. After 6 bear candles, we start making another bear candle pretty quickly. It's like, are we really going to do that again? And that might be what the Bears were thinking the Bears were stronger and the Bulls were weaker. And then you get this rally here, and you got, let's see, six bull candles here, six bull candles here, five bull candles here. You don't really get a good run until you get four here, three here that actually moved pretty well, five more here. So you had some bulls coming in, but this was kind of the last stand of the Bears, and they only pushed it down with five bear candles, stayed well above this channel, orange channel here, started to get going. And so I'm like, okay, if this is going to go bullish, this is a great entry. I've got, need to draw again. So if I can get an entry right in here, I can have a stop right here because this should go up. It's making higher lows, you know. So this was a higher low, this was a higher low. It's like, okay, it should at least hold this. This is technically a higher low if it holds, because that's two more bear candles, and it started to go. And then it was holding in this blue channel, and it's like, okay, maybe that'll go sideways, and then it pushed out from the blue channel, got back up into this white channel, and then even pushed through the white channel. It's like when it was right in here, I'm like, okay, but this is great. We're consolidating. The orange horizontal lines are Friday's high and low. So I knew we hadn't even made a new high yet on the day. We're just making a nice bull candle. So far, it's an inside candle, but you also have the strength of that inverted head and shoulders. You have the strength of, I guess, kind of another bigger head and shoulders here. And then this one here. So you kind of had some stacking inverted head and shoulders. You have some rallying going in here. We're consolidating. It's like, yeah, I'm going to keep holding on to this. And so I kept moving. My target was not very far up. It was, no, that doesn't really show it really well. Because I was in an option. I'll show you that real soon. So my option or my target was like at this point. It's like, okay, we should be able to get a nice move, get up to there. Maybe we're an inside day. But when we kept consolidating and everything kept working, it's like, okay, I need to keep moving my target up, and I'm trailing my stop at the same time. And I'll show the options here next. So I don't want to delete that yet. I want to undo. Nope, I hit the wrong button. Give me a sec. Okay. So we kept um, consolidating, and then we got this big push, and I didn't have this purple channel in here. If I had, I would have been exiting somewhere up in here. Instead, I was down on like a 1 minute chart, maybe a 30-second chart, to be honest, maybe a 15-second chart. Uh, and I just kept trailing my stop. And at one point, I had my stop right about here, and then got it here, and then I got it like here. And like, I am not giving all of that back. If we're to come back to the white channel, I'm not doing that. I'm going to hang on to this game. And I was good with that. I was good with getting trailed out right here. um, I ultimately moved my target to what would have been closer to 40, 50, 45, 50, 50, somewhere up a little bit higher. And it didn't get there, which it's like, okay, it wouldn't have made it to that target. And then this was a really interesting pullback, looking for that to bounce. There were bulls getting in there, and it really made a nice higher low again here. The only problem was, I think this was actually a higher low, and then this would be a lower low. And so at this point, you've got things reversing. And this did not continue on bullish like you'd think it would with this kind of a run. It's like, okay, it needs a bit of a pullback. Maybe we'll just consolidate. So this is a really nice consolidation. Then we break bearish some more and we consolidate. And we're doing the same thing now on the way back down. It's like, oh, wow, we're not holding this. The bulls aren't. How much are they going to give up? Are they going to let this thing come back and be a bear candle? Nope, it's still held. And actually, this is where I'm like, okay, well, with something going on here, I drew in the purple channel. That was bad. Drew in the purple channel here, connected here, and just saw, okay, well, that makes sense that this was a good place to exit. We pushed up a little bit, kind of made this double top here. But then that was all of a sudden a really good target to come back and see where these were kind of crisscrossing right there. So some really good consolidation right into the close, nice pullback on this kind of a move. But if you take a step back again, let me get out of this drawing. And you can see whether you're looking at the red channel or, you know what, it's easier to see in a different time frame. Let's just turn off all the lights. There we go. Okay. So with this perspective, you can see, I can see, let me show it. You've got a really nice move down. This is just a nice S curve right here. We're staying below this. I'm not sure what time frame to be looking on to see, that we didn't make a new higher level or didn't, we've got some consolidations going on in here. But I just flipped over to the 15-minute at this point. So at this point, I think the bear move is still intact on the 15. Maybe, maybe not the 15 because that really does look like an inverted head and shoulders there, which means that we've made lows and then relative lows, and now that's a new higher. I'm sorry, I'm saying lows. A lower high, same high, and now a higher high from this. So this is potentially a bigger reversal. It really depends on, are we going to continue to just chop down here or what? We're really close to, it's the 100 simple moving average or exponential moving average. Well, they're both really close on the daily. That's what the blue lines are. So the blue is the dark blue, or the solid blue is the daily 100. The dotted blue is the daily 100 exponential versus the simple. So same with these, the dotted is the exponential. It just moves a little more quickly. So anyway, I wanted to go and look at, so here's the framework. Come back in here to see this. So here's the framework on the day. All right, so we were moving down, moved up, pulled back a little bit. All right, so I was looking for, what's crazy is I easily could have bought, like, as we're breaking out of this, I could have bought there. I was watching it. I was actually looking at this as like, is this going to go down again? Should I be shorting right here? Because this is S curving. It should go lower, right? And I didn't short. It's like, okay, well, now all of a sudden we're breaking out of this. So I was in at 11:52 Central Time. So I was on that candle. And then I was out at 12:55, which I think was that candle, because it was pulling right back into this. So I was only in this move for this portion, like an hour of the 6.5 hour trading day, and I captured that size of it, which is really cool. And with options, it was phenomenal. So let's get over to the options. That is here's SPX on Thinkorswim, and here is the same 3 minutes. So you can see move down, move up, move back down. With the RSI in here too. And this was really cool. The RSI spiked nicely bearish, or not bearish, sorry, oversold. And then you have this just really small candles in here. Started to break out, pulled back. And at the same time, I'm looking at like 10 EMA strategy because this is the 10 EMA. I've got that on the, I flip back and forth between a few different charts. Here's this one that I've got with the RSI. So you can see the RSI pegging lower. You've got the 10 EMA. This little arrow below the bear candle there is showing that that is a 10 EMA candle. It's a bearish candle closing above the 10. And then that's another one there. And then I'm getting in because all of these things are just showing the confluence of what's going on. So let's get back to this. I've got the option that I was in. So it's the 50-20. So it's way up here. 50-20 is way up here. And the high of the previous day was about 50-20. So it's like, okay, if we're going to make a new high, then we should get to that level. That's a good place to get to. So here we are on that option. Here's the 11:51 candle, 3-minute candle. It was 11:52, but I bought in at 1.25 per contract. And then it just immediately started to work. One of the things that I've noticed with options is that they're not going to give up much ground as they're starting to work, and you're going to have the stock, or in this case SPX index, going in the direction. The option's not going to go as aggressively in the direction, especially when it's one of these further out of the money like that, which even wasn't even that far out. It's out of the money, but we were right around 49 1.95, which is only 20 points, 25 points away from that strike. That's a really good place to be at when you've got, some consolidation in here. You're looking for this to reverse, from this bearish move. Now it's looking bullish, and there's no breakout yet, which really helps. As soon as you start to break out, the volatility comes in, the option price begins to increase. But even at this point, it was going relatively slow to increase. But I did get in basically the last chance I had to get in at 125. I did. The next four candles were just raging here. Originally had my target set at 325, just looking for a quick 200 point or $200 gain per contract. Got above this this upper wick here, would get back into this price. 325 looked like a good area. So we ran up, and then we started to do this consolidation. It's like, okay, this should continue. Tighten up my stop to 1.75. I'm like, I'm not going to lose on this trade. This is a free trade. I can just let this thing go. I'm going to move my target out even further. And as you can see from this, so that was this consolidation here. It started to break out, and I just kept moving my target out and kept trailing up the stop. So I'm going to move this back. Actually, we're just going to do this. So the 1152 price. So I was in on this candle, 1.25, and the stop was at 0.75. So I did have a stop on this. Um, just to have some room on that. So it wasn't an absolute zero, but technically risking $50 per contract. Uh, there's some reason for that. I've been doing that just to not get wicked out of an option. I've had way too many of those where I've gotten wicked out for smaller. So my true risk, I wanted to have 25 bucks on, which would be buy at 1.25 and a stop at $1. I didn't want to be that tight on something like this in case it did pull back a little bit. You can see this candle even came into 1.16. That's just been my experience. So the way I'm thinking of it, I'm going to put $50 on this trade, but I really only want to lose 25. I have a hard stop down at 0.75 that I can tighten up if I need to. If I can kind of move that a little bit. And it's just what I've had to do to kind of mentally not get knocked out of a trade, wishing I was still in it. And then I've had so many of those where it pulls back a little bit too much, some big spike candle, whatever, and then it's right back into the correct range. And runs without you, or you can get out for less. So, if it came down below one to like 0.9 or something, then it's like, can look to exit this if it gets back up to one and just risk 25 bucks on that contract, but in this case, didn't do that at all. So I had my target set at 3.25. I got it moved up to, I think, was it 5.3 or three? It was 3.3 because I'm using, I think it's just the Thinkorswim thing. Maybe it's other brokers too, but once you get above $3 on the option, it's not letting me do 0.05 increments. It goes to 0.1 increments. So then I think I moved it up to try to do 5.25 and went to 5.2. I'm like, I don't want it 5.2. I want it at least 5.3. Let me get, a whole 100 more uh, above the 1.25. So, and then this candle came in and it was almost there. It was at like 4.7. Like, I'm going to move this out even further. And so at that point, I think I went up to 7.5, thinking, okay, well, it's got some room to run. And I just kept trailing up. So I trailed up to, right here, I think I trailed up to 3.25 or 3.3 or 3.5 after this. It left this area. So that was up in here. I would have to look back at each of the trades because I kept replacing, cancel, replace orders to keep moving the target out. I ultimately moved the target out to around 25 and it just didn't get there. And when this candle was coming in, I got my stop up at 10 and I was down at a much tighter time frame. Actually, I can go down to 1 minute on this. I'm not going to do that right now because it'll change small range. Actually, yeah, it will. So we're zoom back in on this on the 1 minute. And 1 minute is far, that's as small as I can go. Um, I can go smaller on Thinker or on Trading View, but Thinkorswim only lets me go this far. So I was just let's just zoom in here. So I'd moved my stop up from about 10 down here. I was watching this by the minute or probably down at 30-second candles on TradingView, just watching what is this thing doing. Started to consolidate here. It's like, okay, yep, I'm getting my stop tightened up. Put my stop at 14.5 because I was getting the sense that this is consolidating. It should break out. If it doesn't, it's coming for me. And I want my stop nice and tight. So I didn't put it at 15 because I'd be right on that candle. Didn't put it at 16. I should have. But even when this candle was coming in, it put in an upper wick. It was starting to go. It's like, okay, it's going to go. And I already put this in at 14.5. And so got a little slippage, which is obvious to be expected here. So I got uh, trailed out at 14.3 and I was in at 1.25. So that is 1305 per contract, which was phenomenal. And then I was looking for, okay, let's let this consolidate. Let's let this rest some. And I felt like I was, kicking myself a little bit, like, oh, I could have been in for that. It's like, no, I didn't want to give up an extra couple $100 to let this pull back. What if it kept coming down over here into the down? Well, that's exactly what happened over here. It just kept coming back down. A couple things were pretty telling on this. I know I'm still in a 1 minute. That gap and that gap were pretty telling that it's like, okay, there's some bearishness coming in here. What is going on? Like it still hasn't taken out, if you consider this like a low and a low, it's like, okay, it still doesn't take it, these two bear gaps are in, but it hadn't taken out the low until it did right in here. And then it put in a new lower low. And then this was the high, and I put in a lower high, and then kind of a lower high. Well, I'd have to check on that one, but at the end of the day, this option was worthless. And I was in, where was it? 11. It was right in here. It was in, and I was out, like right in there. So I made that much on this option by risking something very, very, very small. And even, I mean, not even to zero. I risked less than that range even shows. Uh, so this was really fun to trade and to watch just continue to move and to work. Those are the best ones when they do that. They don't always do that. I had I was quick enough to move targets out, trail the stop, and just to keep it going. Let me go back to trading view and we'll go down to 1 minute here and I'll show you this blue channel here that I was drawn in. So let's go back to just the candles. Okay, so this blue channel was some really nice consolidation in here as the thing was starting to work, but kind of moving slow and consolidating here. It's like, okay, this could just break down, could come back into the white line and just, just trail me out. And then I do go down to like a 30-second chart and you can just see these movements. You can see the channels forming even better. Like they just hit these levels and they just ride them. So it's just kept tagging. Just zoom in on the blue one. So we're down at a 30-second chart. And let me draw again. You can see it's like we just kept tagging that upper bound. And it's like, okay, is it going to come back down here? No, it just kind of went sideways. But you realize this is only a matter of minutes. Like this is 10 minutes, not even 10 minutes. And you're watching it on here, it's like it's not doing anything. It's just going sideways. And all the while you're losing a little bit of premium on the option. But we held, we held, we held, we held, we held. We actually didn't touch the bottom edge of that channel at all through here. And that just shows strength. And then we broke out of it, retested the top, continued up, tagged the white, came back down, chopped around. Now I gotta move. I gotta move the chart over. And this is that consolidation right below yesterday's level. So it was right in here, and I'm like, okay, well, we should be staying up here. We shouldn't roll over at this point. So we retested the top of the blue. We retested it again over here, pushed up. And then we got another little consolidation here. Um, and we just started to break out. So this was phenomenal. Watching on the 30-second, it's like, okay, this is going. Like this isn't going to stop here. I need to get my target further out because we're not going to stop here. This is just going to go. And so that was what was happening here. So this is, you know, again, 30-second chart. I can't show that on the option, but we just rallied. I'm like, I don't want to cap my wins by having, having something set to get out. Again, hindsight, the purple channel, that would have been a great target. We still pushed past that, but I was more content to trail my stop up pretty tight and get stopped out, even with an option, than to cap the gain. I was ready for this to run. I got out at or trailed out at 1450, but it could have continued on up to 20. It did end up getting back up to 20 over in here. And then this you can start to see in here if we turn on the RSI. So that's this one. 1 minute's really bad with that. 3 minute. Let's see where we are now. 3 minute. You can see this. So we made a high here. This high pegged almost at 100. Actually, I think the 1 minute RSI was pegging at 100. Is it this one? What was it? It was right here. So the 1 minute RSI over here was pegging at 100. And so when I saw that, it's like, okay, get my stop really tight because it's about to be done. I've seen the 100 go on for quite a bit, not necessarily on a 1 minute and not necessarily bullish. I think there was a day, a week or two ago on the 3 minute or the 5 minute that pegged down at zero because it was so bearish. So we can find out quick. So I have a recent experience from that where we just continued down so hard. To this day, it was one of these. There it is. Okay, the capitulation day. So this RSI, we pegged at zero on the 3 minute. So that's the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 6 3 minute candles in a row where the RSI pegged at zero. So that's the most I've seen recently. So I was ready for the 100 to peg on the 1 minute for more than just 3 minutes worth because I'd seen it go there for 18 minutes on 3 minute candle or on, 3 minute candle. So I thought, all right, well, there's a chance that even though the RSI is pegging at 100, this could push up and keep going for a few more candles. And instead, it just came back down. And so I was out on this candle. So as soon as it started to come back, it's like, all right, I'm out. That was it. I rode that rally up. I didn't count my wins, trailed it. I guess I could have been a little tighter. Um, just wanted to leave a little bit of room because this is a difference between, if we go back to this is a difference between being out probably at 16 or 15, something like that. I go back to the 1 minute of this. Yeah, so I had it trailed. So I gave this candle a little bit of room. The low on this candle was 1530. I was at 1450. So my stop was 1450. I think I put my stop in when it was on this candle, seeing the consolidation. So I technically could have been maybe 1550. No, I could have been 15. I would have been comfortable with 15 right below this candle. 1450, I was good with. I think right below this candle would have been too tight because you want to give that a little bit of room to consolidate. Like what I'm thinking is if it did something like this, where it's like, okay, it's consolidating like this, you want to give that some room to wick down. Um, so let's say let's say that at some point the candle wicks down like this, pushes right below the low of that candle. You're still above 15. You're okay. And then closes with a body that's breaking out and that's bullish like this, and then continues on up. I didn't want to be in that situation of getting wicked out. It's like, let me give it a little bit of room. 1450 actually got trailed out at 1430. And I didn't really have another great opportunity to get out at that price, not immediately. I did obviously holding through some more consolidation. Oops, let's go back to this. Holding through some more consolidation over here, but it came all the way down to like 12 and chopped around a little bit. It did end up moving back up. I could have gotten back in. I was looking at another option to get back in, but after that big of a gain, um, actually, no, I was not watching. I got off the computer. I'm like, I don't want to jump right back into something. And I got away from the computer basically for this chunk of time here. And then when I came back to the computer, I saw, oh, it's moving on up without me. That's okay. I had a really good trade. So I was looking for the bigger pullback over here and put on another trade that did not work, and then tried to put another one over here, did not work, looking for it to bounce, and it just wasn't bouncing uh, into this close. It just continued to roll back down. Still, we got a bullish day. Um, there's some great 10 EMA setups on the bear side. That's a really nice bear 10 EMA, kind of that one, but not quite. There's probably a way to trade this bearish in here. And I love these where you're in the last hour of the day, because you can still have some really good moves. Sometimes it just peters out, other times it keeps on moving. But yeah, I'm good with what I traded today. Basically, I traded that and made quite a few hours doing it. So hopefully that makes sense, bouncing back and forth between the options here on uh, Thinkorswim, and then TradingView with the channels and such. And I guess we'll just leave it at that. Hope this helps. Thanks.